We actually just became top leader again this year. If you're not going to want to be doing this much volume, then yeah, don't work at midnight or don't work at 10 or 11 o'clock.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, Ken Elbin, and it's safe to say that today's guest is EXP proud and is waving that flag as the leading agent in the US. He's making these big waves with the backing of his 2 decades worth of experience and his belief in hard work. And considering he's achieved icon status in both times in record time each year since joining EXP, I think it's safe to say that his formula is working for him. All the way from Southeast Florida, John Scalia. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So I know we've got quite a bit to talk about, and I definitely want to get to what it's like to be number one in all of EXP. But before that, let's kick things off. Take us on a bit of a journey. You're from then till now in real estate.
I've been doing it for 23 years now, since like 2000 in that range. I started with Remax actually, and started with a couple of other small companies. And about in the range of like when the foreclosures started happening, 2007, 2008, good friend of mine, Kevin Perman, wanted to help out and deal with some foreclosures that he was becoming part of. So in that portion, I ended up joining his little company, Bankers Realty, and we ended up going into all the seminars in Dallas and San Diego and to become a foreclosure REO agent. And from that was when it crashed in 2007, 2008. And then it progressed where I just became signing up with the banks and the investors and so on, and made a name for myself throughout those years. With that being said, that's how this kind of progressed to becoming the number one agent, by using that formula to make it happen as a bigger fish than just going knocking out one by the houses.
100%. And I know for the sort of volume you put out last year, you don't have the size team that many people might think you have.
No.
Hard work is obvious.
Most of it is getting it through the single agent of attracting all of these big investors and these banks that I've been getting throughout the years. And I have about 15 to 20 buyers agent that if any of the leads come over, I don't really take any of the leads. I send them to my agents.
Okay.
They can cap out, they can do all that stuff. And I just take a little referral fee.
Awesome.
So I help everybody on my downline.
No, and that's where the EXP model shines and leads me nicely to my next question, because you've achieved massive success since you moved over to EXP. And that simply tells me that I'm speaking to someone who believes in the model 100%. So what about it gets you as excited as it does?
I know when Kevin again tried to get me to come over, it took me about 7 or 8 months. It was actually right before the pandemic, and then the pandemic happened and everything just stopped. So I'm like, you know what, even my companies that I write for kind of stopped. So I said, you know what, I was with another company at the time. I'm like, let me go over, because if they do start writing again, I'm pretty much going to cap out pretty quick, and I'll go from that 80-20 to 100. And that's what I did. I switched during the pandemic kind of period. And as soon as they picked up and everything started flowing again, I capped out like in 14 and 20 days. So I went from that 80 to 100. And the best model that I like about EXP is one, their stock options and their revenue shares, that, if you hire and get good agents under you, they're going to make you a revenue share that is going to help you you could take that money and put it towards investing back into advertising and everything else that could help those agents become more successful like myself. So that's what I like about the model, because you get 3 ways of making money, such as the stocks and the revenue share.
Awesome. Now, real estate, no matter who you're with, is a crazy game. What are you doing in your spare time to stay sane? How much time do you even take out of the office? That's my next question, really.
Yeah, usually Sunday is my off day. Saturday, I kind of work and drive properties. And then obviously we have cabins in North Carolina, so we do those kind of things. Awesome. We do weekend things, basically.
Great. All right. Aside from that, you are putting up big numbers, and not just in the volume of transactions. A lot of people don't know it's not just the value that you shot the lights up with last year. It was volume of transactions were through the roof. What's your process to stay on top of all those moving parts?
I have 2 good assistants. The one thing that kind of scared me about EXP was a lot of their paperwork and their sky slopes. Put it this way, if I didn't really have them, there was no way I was switching to EXP, because I wouldn't be able to handle all the paperwork. I had and Kevin had assistants that knew SkySlope and knew everything else. So the paperwork came easy to them. The only thing that was tough with it was the paperwork that they needed. So once we got the hang of it, now it just flows in between the dispositions and the acquisitions. I have a team that kind of just handles it, sends it all out, and
Awesome.
get our DAs in time. So everything runs smoothly now since we've been doing it for years.
Awesome. And what's your favorite way to market yourself?
In my sense that I leave that towards my buyer's agents. They like the social media. They do a lot of the YouTubes and that kind of stuff, Instagram. So I let them use me as marketing for the material. It's tough for me to market right now just because I'm too busy to get in all these big investors and everything else with the properties that need to be bought and sold. I don't really go too much on marketing. So I'm just having my other buyer's agents really take care of that on their sets. And they'll say that we work together and stuff to get a lot of it's actually working out because I got 2 or 3 of them already capped out. They're working on.
That's early in the year.
Yeah. So it's good for them. It makes them happy and it makes them a lot easier to feel that EXP is such a great model to go from 80-20 to 100% than being with another company that really it's hard to get. You won't get to 100% commission. So
100% agree. And you've mentioned the word investors quite a number of times. Would you say that that's a niche for you? Is that a niche part of your business?
Yeah, only because a lot of them found me through the foreclosures kind of era. So
yeah.
I don't think it's big for investors now just because that pricing is high. And that's why I think some investors are following me and finding me to get the properties to sell because they see that the property is high enough and it could come down depending on what the market's going to do. They look at my numbers and they say, I work with investors, so they'll give me a block of 5 or 6 houses to sell. There's one person gives me a block of 49, a couple of them give me a block of 20 to sell. That's where I get just the bigger blocks than, like I said, door knocking and getting the flyers out and getting 1 or 2 here. Eventually, one day it'll probably come to that, but I don't know when it would come back to me. I did that for years back when I first started in the 2000, 2005 area. And then I did a lot of the condo conversions back then as well. Yeah. So I always worked with investors for many years.
Awesome. And I'm a salesman, you're a salesman. Salesmen like to talk about all their successes, but let's have a look at what would you say was your biggest real estate horror story that you've ever had?
Actually, it was my first deal with the Remax, and I was a $400,000 property, and guy gave me $100 check and a $100,000 offer. And I told the seller, and he's like, whatever, just count on full price. So then this buyer called head of Remax and wrote a letter and everything. And I'm like, and I showed him what I did, which the head guy at that time was Bob Dow. And he just gave me great information, told me not to worry about it. It was just, don't even stress over it. And he told me some kind of words to tell the guy, which I was surprised that he told me because he was an older guy and very straight up. We went through that route and it went smooth after I told him that, and I never heard again. But it was pretty much my first deal, was my first horror story back in 2000. Everyone else went pretty smooth, knock on wood.
Awesome. Yeah, you typically find those early horror stories. They are the things that shape what you're going to do. They shape what you're going to focus on.
And that's how I learned. And now I don't really stress over it. If it doesn't happen or if something comes, I just look at it. I just find a way to fix it.
100%.
I try not to. I'm fair to my buyers, fair to my sellers, or even fair to the other agents' buyers, because I wouldn't want to be in their shoes if something goes wrong.
Definitely.
I make it pretty easy for my sellers and anybody else's buyers to not be complicated, to make it easier. And I work with a lot of good title companies that understand that well. You have to have a couple of good title companies like Learn a Law or Capital and Trident Title I use. So, they work pretty well with me, and they know that they want to make it as easy as possible for a new buyer, a new home, for a first-time home buyer working with our sellers.
Awesome. And John, can we expect big things I know you don't have a team name yet, but I'm just going to say the John Scalia team. Can we expect big things from you guys in 2023?
Yeah, I think we're good. We have a lot of inventory that's going to probably take us into 2024, February.
Wow.
So we're good until February 2024, depending on what the market. We still have, I would say, anywhere from 300 or 350 more homes that are coming on the market that we're going to be selling. It's going to be good for this year and hopefully the beginning of next year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, we've already summed up what your niche is, and I think you've sold yourself short. I think it really comes down to, based on what you said, anyone's got any sort of complicated matter, they need some good, honest advice, a hard-working realtor, they need to hit you up anytime they're in Florida. How
Yeah.
do my viewers contact you, though, John?
My email address is bankersreo3@gmail. I do have the website, john.scalia@exprealty.com. I don't know if you want me to say my phone number, but 954
Yeah, you can do it.
822-6612. I have a well-organized team. We get a lot of EXP agents that are from Canada and other states up north that send us our referrals. So
Awesome.
we do a lot of referrals up north if anybody wants to send them our way down here. I know a lot of people are moving to Southeast Florida, especially. So
Awesome.
me from New York, I was very happy to get out of there in the 90s. That was a very good way of me becoming successful, is really getting out of New York and coming to Florida.
Yeah.
But
Alrighty.
I enjoy Florida. I think it's a great state, and I'll probably be here for the rest of my life.
It sounds like it. And probably the biggest, most important thing that can come from an icon of real estate like yourself, like a literal icon in this case, is what sort of advice? What would you give for a new agent starting off?
Well, one of my greatest things is just always answer the phone, always have that answer, always be prepared to take that lead, run with it, show them at any time. When I was becoming a first agent, I would go fishing, come home, and if I had to show a house in a matter of minutes, I would run and just go do it. I just be alert, be ready to go, and just answer the phone, and that's going to be the best way of becoming a top agent.
And don't be afraid to put in the hours, because real estate, especially in the beginning, it's not it might be a get rich quick industry, but it is not a get rich easy industry for sure.
Oh no, it's a lot of work. Some of the hours I'm there 12, 1 o'clock still on a computer at home. It takes time and it takes a lot of work to, have this much volume to do. If you're not going to want to be doing this much volume, then don't work at midnight or don't work at 10 or 11 o'clock.
Absolutely. And you've set the bar high. It's Ken Albin from Icons of Real Estate Podcast, chatting with John Scalia. Produced 300 million in transactions, just short of 300 million. What is the next person was what? Nearly 200 million below you, John?
Yeah. I think it was like 80 or 90 million, but we just became top leader again this year. We just passed Ken. So he had it for a while. He did one big deal in New York. So 40 million. So it took me, 4 months to pass him. So we finally just became top leader right now. But my size,
there's still plenty of time.
There's still plenty of time. So it should be a good year again. And like I said, EXP has been very good to me. I think they're a great company, and I like how they've been getting me out there and helping me out.
Awesome, John. I've really enjoyed having you on the show, and I think it's fair to say when you're top dog for the second year in the row, I'm going to have you back. But from Ken at the Icons of Real Estate Podcast and John Scalia, leading agent in EXP for the year of 2022 and possibly for 2023. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it.
Loved what you heard? Subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow agents. It helps more agents find the show and tells us what you want more of. And hey, want to get featured on multiple podcasts like Icons, or even find epic guests for your podcast? Check out The Hub, the ultimate guesting platform in real estate. Link in the description. Catch you next time. Keep crushing it out there.